Alright, boys, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is coming out on October 27, 2023. After waiting 8 years, it's finally come. Wait, that's not the topic we're talking about today. Oh, yeah, Mario just got beat up by Sonic. Okay, what was the topic again? Okay, let me look at the script. Monty wants your lunch! Oh, now I got it. Yes, today we are talking about Mascot Horror, a very controversial video game genre, especially as of lately. As you know, Mascot Horror is focused around the idea of taking children's mascots and subverting the initial purpose of them by turning them into killers. As you know, people don't think that Mascot Horror has that purpose anymore. Instead, Mascot Horror is now considered to be a bad sellout for babies and focused on making colorful and recognizable antagonists that is kid-friendly and caters to kids. Well, to understand why Mascot Horror is in the state that it is in now, we need to go 8 years ago to Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's was originally a terrifying game, with the mascots being unsettling and creepy too. While the characters were marketable, the characters managed to have a good balance of being appealing and creepy. Let's players play the game and made the game a hit. Because of the success of Five Nights at Freddy's, a bunch of sequels came out, with the lore and story being more convoluted with each release. Even though I have been a FNAF fan for a while, and while I love the franchise story and game, it didn't impact on indie horror as we know it today, forming Mascot Horror. Indie horror devs saw the success of FNAF and they wanted to replicate it. Okay, now I could talk about Hello Neighbor, but at this point, it's not Mascot Horror. The antagonist of the game is a neighbor, not a mascot. How is this Mascot Horror? Okay, I don't understand why we consider this to be Mascot Horror. Even though I'm not going to go fully into Hello Neighbor, it was considered to be the first game to replicate the success of FNAF. I'll go short into Bendy Link Machine because it's Mascot Horror. Bendy at first was not meant for kids. It was meant to be a fun little one-day experiment, just testing to make a game, and it blew up thanks to Let's Players. Because it blew up, there was 5 chapters that came out. While Bendy had some flaws, it can be creepy at times with a good balance of the characters being marketable and creepy, and the devs were passionate, just like Scott Coffin. Before I talk about the next games, let's get more into Mascot Horror. The Mascot Horror target audience is children. It's kids. The more popular a Mascot Horror game becomes, the more YouTubers make videos on it and the more children watch it, making the game more and more popular thanks to kids. One thing I do seem to be aware of is that these games are not being picked up by Let's Play YouTubers at first. Yeah, they're not. No, they're being picked up by channels like these.
Today we are playing the brand new Garden of Banban!
This is the craziest game we have ever played! We have to survive a giant bird monster and solve insane puzzles to escape this haunted story!
We are going to beat the entire game in this video and show you the secret ending to the game! It will shock you!
You do not want to miss a second of this! Let's go!
Go jump, jump!
I can't move, I can't. What the?
Oh! What kind of sus is that?
In a candle? It's an antenna! It's an antenna!
It feels like most Mascot Horror games are gold for children's channels. I have a brother who watches children's channels and they do videos on things like Puppy Playtime and Hello Neighbor. It doesn't seem like that children's channels don't play FNAF or do videos on FNAF because the games are meant for kids. I made a whole video of why I think that FNAF shouldn't be for children, should be like 12 or 14 plus depending. Here's how I think this like works. Make a kid-friendly horror game so children's channels will play it. Then the game will get popular with children, and then Let's Players will see these games and will play the game, making the game popular in general. The antagonists themselves are not scary and are made for merch and nothing else. And that brings us to Poppy Playtime. Okay, Poppy Playtime is considered to be the downturn of Mascot Horror, and I understand. In Poppy Playtime, you are an ex-employee of a toy factory called Playtime Co., where everyone disappeared, and you have to do puzzles with a genuinely cool mechanic called the Grab Pack to progress further into the facility, while Huggy Wuggy, the main antagonist, stalks you through the facility. Huggy Wuggy is already merchandisable from the get-go, he was made to be a lovable figure to turn out as much money from their kid fans as possible. Also, the first chapter was 30 minutes long with easy puzzles. However, the vent chase scene is one of the best chase scenes to ever exist in a horror game. Also, in the main menu of the game, there is a merch button, and they were selling merch a bit after Chapter 1 came out. Bendy waited until the 3rd chapter when the game was already popular, and we didn't get any FNAF merch until FNAF 3. The merch button proves that the game is a cash grab for money and nothing else. While it is a cash grab, the game itself isn't necessarily bad. I think the soundtrack, art design, parts of the story are not to be discredited or hated. The devs of Mob Games also did NFTs, which ended up with boycotts, refunds, and all of that. So, yes. I heard that Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 was better, but for now, we can all kind of agree that this was made for money, cash grab, stuff like that, and nothing else. While the game did get popular, obviously, the game is a cash grab. I feel like it just has to be. If there is passion, I cannot see it. But it did have some effort put into it, like its environments are well crafted. So overall, Poppy Playtime, and at least Poppy Playtime soundtrack is pretty decent, and it kind of looks like a horror game, like in an abandoned location. And like atmosphere itself isn't horrible. Like it kind of looks like a creepy environment with like darkness and stuff like that. But Huggy Wuggy and like all the toys are not scary. Like they're just bright, colorful, and just made for merch. Nothing else. Alright, now we're off to Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Now, before on the channel, let's get into Security Breach. That Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is the one that led it more than Poppy Playtime did. Now, unfortunately, the game was the buggy mess we all knew, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about how scary it is, and how much quality. Let's get into the first thing. That I know that Poppy Playtime was like the part of Mascot Horror going downhill, like a little bit. I understand that with Huggy Wuggy literally just being a bright, colorful mascot of a lovable figure. But Security Breach did it even more. And why? Okay, let's start with the first one. Security Breach, it doesn't even look like a horror game. Like, it does not look like a horror game. There are lights everywhere. Everything in the Pizzaplex is brightly lit up, colorful. You can clearly see everything. And of course, the other FNAF games are obviously terrifying games. Well, Security Breach, doesn't do a good atmosphere. The atmosphere and soundtrack, it's too clean. And even considering that the atmosphere itself is marketed to a younger audience, and even considering that the game is targeted to a younger audience. Alright, let's get into it. Security Breach was obviously really more designed to be more kid-friendly. For example, in the game files, there was references to violence, cuts, and blood that were removed from the game's files closer to launch. So this kind of really proves that this game was meant to be designed more for children, even considering that the animatronics themselves, they're not meant to serve a purpose within the game. The only designs I'd really say that are meant to serve a purpose throughout the entire game are Burn Trap, Blob, and Wind Up Music Man. Yeah, that's it. Glam Rock Freddy, Roxy, Glamour Chica, and Monty, DJ Music Man, they're all just made to be lovable. They're just made to be merchandisable and marketable characters. But, I think that I kind of understand why Steelwool has kind of believed that FNAF should be more kid-friendly because Funko, McFarlane, they created all the merch, and a lot of that kind of caters to kids. I mean, some of it. Maybe the McFarlane construction sets might not, but overall, it caters to kids. Yes, and Security Breach does follow this direction, and well, I have kind of disliked Security Breach throughout my entire time of playing. I have not played the game so far, but I will play it again, I swear. There are some parts I enjoy, but overall, the game is just honestly not too much of a fun to play to me. It's really just fun just watching myself on YouTube, just me watch it for the most part. Overall, Security Breach might not exactly be a good game. I like its cutscenes and environments were well crafted, like Poppy Playtime. And for the most part, I'm mad about the Afton ending. Like, the ending literally makes no sense. Like, I'm not even gonna explain why. I'm gonna explain it to my Security Breach review when I actually finish the game, but I'm just not gonna explain it because it's not important. It's because it's not important. So yeah, Security Breach follows the directions of making colorful and recognizable antagonists and make the game marketed to a younger audience. Alright, now it's time for Rainbow Friends. Alright, well, Poppy Playtime, I do like parts of it, and its atmosphere is not horrible and can be kind of creepy at times. Rainbow Friends is shamelessly only meant for children. Yeah, I'm serious. I cannot think that a person like me, even considering that, most of my audience is probably older than me, but I do not think that horror fans or anyone who clicked to watch on this video that's like, I don't know, like a young adult or like an older audience would not enjoy this game. I cannot think of an adult who would enjoy this game. Alright, up until now, all the mascots had unique characteristics. Freddy Fazbear was an animatronic bear meant for singing and dancing. Bendy was an old-time cartoonist meant to compete with the rest. And even Huggy Wuggy, despite me not liking him, was a mascot for a toy company meant to bring joy to little kids. And here, the only characteristics for these Rainbow Friends mascots are their color. Sure, one woman's around, one's blind, and one gets you through the vents. But design-wise, they're all based on color. This game was designed to attract the attention of little kids. Also, yes, this game is designed. I absolutely do not like Rainbow Friends. First off, is that blue, green, orange, and purple. Their designs, like, they're literally just a random shape with a face on them. Like, they just decided, like, they're literally just blobs. I don't know if they're really blobs, but hear me out. Like, they're literally just random shapes with faces on them. Like, they decided to just draw some random shapes and boom, there it is. He's marketable. Blue's marketable and lovable. And considering that the game is just really poorly made. Just don't even ask me any questions. The game is just really, really poorly made. It's just really poorly made. I mean, like, really, it's poorly made. Oh my god, yes. And the gameplay itself is just stupidly easy. I mean, I played it. I didn't even die once. It's so easy. Like, the gameplay is literally just, like, one fetch quest for each round with a new character added. Ooh, so spooky. Yeah, it's not spooky. Like, I don't understand of why this game even got popular in the first place. The game is just terribly made. Like, I know it's Roblox, and obviously it's not going to be well made, but check out Doors. I mean, go do something like Doors or something. I haven't played Doors, but I honestly want to go see it. I've heard it was a good example and idea, but Rainbow Friends is not an example of a good mascot horror game. Alright, on to next. Alright, and even considering that the vent chase scene of Rainbow Friends is just terrible, it obviously tries to replicate the vent chase scene from the first Poppy Playtime chapter, but I gotta say, the Rainbow Friends vent chase scene is done just horribly. Like, it's done so bad. Like, I just don't like it at all. It's just done horribly. I just absolutely don't like it. Anyway, yeah, and even considering that both Poppy Playtime and Security Breach are better than Rainbow Friends, no question. Bendy's better, FNAF's better, maybe Hello Neighbor. I don't know, maybe not. All right, now we're at Bendy the Dark Revival. Now I'm not gonna get too deep into this one because I haven't played it, but hear me out. Bendy the Dark Revival, I've heard it's really good. I just checked Steam reviews, and I've heard it's really overwhelmingly positive. So I'm like, man, I really have to check this game out. Like, I have to. So I bought it for the Steam Spring Sale, and boom, I've got the game. And I am definitely planning to go play it on my channel soon, since I I think it's a game that I genuinely enjoyed, since I enjoyed, even though the first Bendy was like a walking simulator, I enjoyed parts of the Bendy in the ink machine. Alright, now we're on to the next one. Now we're at Garden of Banban. Yes, Garden of Banban. Alright, so for someone who doesn't really care that much, yeah, it's really, it just sucks. Like the game, it's the worst horror game I've ever played in my entire life. Wait, I'll explain more of that later. Garden of Banban, the style is just nothing. Like, they use stock assets, like their entire assets about any of the game are literally just stock assets. I know we described the Rainbow Friends as shapes with faces on them, but these are just shapes with faces on them. The only character that's not just some random polygon is this stupid looking bird, like the Opula bird, which is simply just that, a bird. Yes, and also the gameplay, it's 8 minutes long. It's not even a game. Like, even considering that it's not even a chapter. It's its own game. How do you call that a game? I'm just going to call it a demo. It's not even a game. Yes, like, even considering that the game, it's made up of Fetch Quest again. Also, the game is just a literal stupid copy of Poppy Playtime. It's a cheap dollar store Poppy Playtime. It's just dollar store Poppy Playtime. No question there. Like the gameplay loop is straight from Poppy Playtime. It functions the same as the Grab Pack, of where the Grab Pack uses puzzles that need a mechanic to progress further into the game. And Garden of Banban, it does that same thing. You use the drone to get puzzles to progress further into the game. Yes, it's really simple as that. Also, there's the part where you have to feed eggs to the Opula bird. It's so stupid. Like, it's so tedious, and even considering that, how is this a kindergarten? Like, there's a pit and a lift. Like, I don't go to a kindergarten and see this, but it only makes sense from a gameplay perspective. Alright, and the only part I actually enjoyed, but then there's this Opula bird chase scene, which is just so stupid. It's even worse than the Rainbow Friends event chase scene. Yes, I really did not like the Rainbow Friends event chase scene, but hear me out. The Garden of Banban chase is just awful. It's a terrible chase. Like, it's so easy. It's literally just 10 seconds of running, and you press this button, and then that's literally it. Then you go to this office, and then you have to press a bunch of buttons again. And then Jumbo Josh attacks you, and then that's the end. It was really short. The game, like, its designs are only not meant to serve a purpose in the game. Made for recognition, nothing else, and most of that. Well, hey, at least the game was free, and you didn't have to pay for it. While Poppy Playtime is now, Chapter 1 is now free. It used to be $5, which I really did not like. So yeah, Garden of Banban was the worst horror game I've ever played in my entire life. The game was nothing. I hated it so much. I criticized the game so much, and I will never, I do not like to talk about it, and I'm really annoyed talking about it right now. Or is it the worst horror game I've ever played in my entire life? On March 3rd, 2023, Garden of Banban 2 released. Before I get into this, Garden of Banban had a merch button on the menu. What? Again, like, even the merch itself is just overpriced. I mean, seriously, just look at the merch. It's overpriced. I mean, you cannot tell me that they just did this. They did this just, like, it's cheap. It's just, like, merch. Like, even considering that Garden of Banban, the game itself, literally took, like, 2 days to make. Anyway, let's move on. Garden of Banban 2 has robbed me from my precious hours on this planet. My time playing Garden of Banban 2, and you know how long it took me to beat the entire game? 2 hours. And why? The gameplay is a literal chore. Like, even the parts of the game, they've only been used, and they're only be able to be used in the slightest. Like, only parts of the game that they feel like, most of these parts in the game, like, they're meant, like, the only way they're even used to be considered is just to extend playtime. That's it. Like, the game, the Euphoric Brothers, the developers, yes, they like, most of the parts throughout the game, they've been personally drawn in there to just serve a 2-hour gameplay to prevent people from getting refunds which looked like it didn't work by the end. I guess that the devs would rather cry about it than make better video games. Alright, yeah, Garden of Banban 2, there's like, I don't know. I know that there's Banban in it. I know that there's there's baby Opila birds. Seriously, it's a bunch of, oh my god, it's so annoying. Like, the gameplay is just even more tedious and just 40 minutes of pointless gameplay despite me taking it 2 hours to beat, and I did not like how it took me 2 hours to beat. So yeah, that was pretty annoying that it took me literally 2 hours to beat the entire thing. Yes, 2 hours it took me to beat it. And I do not have any other interest in playing the game again. Yes, and even considering that Garden of Banban 1, it could still kind of could be enjoyed ironically because of how comically short its runtime was and how hilariously stupid the Opila bird was. Hashtag bird up and everything. But Garden of Banban 2, there is no parts of the game that I enjoyed whatsoever. Like, there's no parts of the game that I can't even enjoy ironically. It's just that stupid. So in the end, Garden of Banban 2 is worse. There's Slow Celine and the 3 new characters. Slow Celine and Nab Nab appear, and they don't serve much purpose. Sheriff Toadster, he doesn't even show up. Like, there's no purpose for him. Yes, the game, and also the game has, all the characters have horrible character designs except Zorphius. Zorphius himself is just, looks terrifying, but he literally does nothing, so he's not as scary as he should have been. I wish they make more designs like Zorphius, and not this. Yes, as you all know, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Like, Garden of Banban 2 itself is just a really bad game. It's the worst horror game I ever played in my entire life out of horror, mascot horror, and Indian horror in general. Just everything. Garden of Banban 2 is the worst out of the entirety of mascot horror. At least of what I've played. Yes. And yes, LankyBox now, if you don't know, they're going hard on this game. Like, again, they're going absolutely hard. They're making tons of videos on it. They keep repeating uploading again. Like, they're making tons of videos on Garden of Banban recently. Like, it's insane how much videos they're just continuing to be doing right now. But it seems like to you that mascot horror is heading in a dark direction. But is it? I know let's get in. As you all know, as Garden of Banban 3's Steam page has been put up, I do not have any interest in supporting or playing or contribute to Garden of Banban anymore in any way. I will not have any interest in playing or watching anyone play Garden of Banban series anymore. I mean, mascot horror, I know it might be considered bad right now, but if you sit and think about it, what is actually wrong with Garden of Banban? Cash grab, copycat of Poppy Playtime, that's what's wrong. But if you look on the bright side, it might not be the worst thing ever. Now, I know that I've said of how my mindset, I felt I'm disappointed with the current state of mascot horror. I really hope that mascot horror gets back on track, and there truly are good things happening in mascot horror. First off is that Five Nights at Freddy's Plus is coming out this year, and literally, for God's sake, it's a FNAF fan game. And also, Bendy the Dark Revival came out. I've heard it's pretty good. You should check it out. And Security Breach Ruin is coming out. Security Breach Ruin is coming out too, and I honestly have some hopes for it, but if it doesn't, I'll just be disappointed. See, there still are some genuinely good things happening in the genre, but overall, if you keep letting this going, then it'll just keep saying to people that lazy products are okay. So no, I'm not gonna play Garden of Banban 2. I mean Garden of Banban 3. Or Rainbow Friends Chapter 2. I'm not playing any of these games. Well, I might play, Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 and Chapter 2, which I'm planning to stream sometime. Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. I might still play Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. I mean, I'm starting to think I won't even will. Because I want Mascot Horror to be good. I want it to be good. Because in general, I like Mascot Horror. I mean, you can obviously tell that I am a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I like it. I like Bendy. But what I don't like is stuff like Garden of Banban or Rainbow Friends. And honestly, at this point, I might not even play Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. Well, Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 does have some interesting it does have some qualities. At this point, I mean, Poppy Playtime itself has some qualities. At this point, I might not play it. Well, I might play Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. It's official that I'm not playing Garden of Banban 3 or Rainbow Friends Chapter 2. Because I want Mascot Horror to be good. It feels like at this point that the only ones that can bring Mascot Horror back to its creepy Creepy Valley Factor is Bendy or Security Breach Ruin. Maybe they will maybe Security Breach Ruin will try to improve it. Security Breach is marketable and appealing and marketed to a younger audience. That kind of improvement, maybe the Security Breach Ruin DLC will improve that. But as of now, Mascot Horror might be considered really hated right now. But overall, in the end, Mascot Horror is really not a bad concept if it's used correctly. In the end, what I'd really suggest to all of you and everyone watching this video, if you're a horror fan, I mean, if you're a kid, then maybe the suggestion, maybe you can use the suggestion. Oh my god, suggestion. Maybe you can use this suggestion, but I guess that most of my viewers are probably older than me, so I guess kids are not going to be watching it that much. Maybe some, but oh my god, I mean. Alright. For my suggestions to all my viewers is to not support these games. If you're a horror fan, if you actually like Mascot Horror, then the thing is, don't support these games. You can support games like Five Nights at Freddy's and Bendy, but the thing is, try to ignore games like Poppy Playtime, Rainbow Friends, and Garden of Banban. Just try to ignore them. Because if you don't ignore them, I know that while Let's Players and children's channels and Likey Boxes are going to continue to play the games and theory channels analyze the story, I'm just not going to talk about it. And while the people are just going to keep criticizing and making fun of it and sending the developers death threats, which I do not support at all. And I do not recommend you send death threats to the Euphoric Brothers in any way. You can criticize the game all you want, but my suggestion is to not criticize the third game and criticize all the bad Rainbow Friends Chapter 2 games. If the upcoming Poppy Playtime chapters are bad, then all you have to do is just don't support these games. That's my suggestion. Overall, while Mascot Horror don't really call it a good state, I really hope that Mascot Horror can get back on track. Maybe someday some game developer is passionate about it. Maybe some Let's Players will go on and play it in the boob. Mascot Horror might be back on track, but as of now, Mascot Horror is really, most of Mascot Horror is not exactly in a good direction, but overall, in the end, Mascot Horror is not a bad concept. And what I'd recommend is not support these games. But in the end, what we can all do is ignore these bad games and wait for the upcoming good ones. Goodbye.